Anyway, I thought, as you can see from the title, this is a kind of a follow-up or a redo of the first review I did, official review of Space Marine, the first game review ever, which I reviewed the demo, and honestly, I wasn't looking back on it even after I did it. I posted it anyway, but I wasn't happy with it because I realized I left some things out from actually, um, of actual gameplay, which I actually wanted to talk about, but because I'm still new at this. I've only done so many of these, and I'm learning. I'm getting better. Uh, but I actually have recently rented. I'm not rich. I'm still too poor to actually own it, but I rented Space Marine, the full version, and have been playing it. And I've just beat it here about an hour ago. And so I feel, and I've played a little multiplayer along the way. I feel I can comment now more fully on the game as a whole. So I've got the manual here to kind of discuss point by point what's going on. First-person shooter with some melee elements and a bit of upgrading RPG-wise as far as the single-player campaign is going. Oh, codes. There's codes in the back of this. So if you do buy a new copy of Space Marine, on the back here, since I rented it, it's been blacked out because I used it. Elite passcode, which will allow you to go more than level 5, level your character up in multiplayer. Because you can play online multiplayer no matter what, but to play higher than level 5, which leveling up grants you perks and whatnot, allows you to customize your character loadout and look, which is one of the main selling points of the game in the first place, was the 1.5 billion combinations you could potentially make in customizing the look of your Space Marine. But you have to have this Elite passcode, which is something that a lot of the game companies are doing now to kind of get into the resale market because people trade in games. It's the nature of the beast. But when the next person buys the new buys that used game, the people who make the game aren't seeing any of that second, third, potentially even fourth sale of that one game. So what they're doing is they are making it so to access full content, like some games, it's even you can't play multiplayer unless you purchase the access code. So, which when you buy it, comes with a code. I've got my code. So my plan now is to eventually pick up a cheap copy of this game that someone's already used their code, so I don't have to worry about it. And another thing, and I'm going to use this code too, I'm seeing in here the Ultramarines movie, which I highly recommend, only to people who actually like the Warhammer 40k universe. To anyone else, you're going to be like, what? Why are they? Who is this? What? Because you won't know what's going on. But those who do, it comes with a code which allows you to have 15% off of your order. Valid until the 30th of January next year. That's in 2012. So, kind of, if you needed more incentive to buy this, a new copy, you can definitely buy this. I think I'm going to write this code down, just play a little. Another thing too, there's an arcade game on Xbox Live Arcade called Warhammer 40k 40,000 Kill Team. If you complete a mission of Kill Team, it unlocks the Power Sword, which is a weapon that your Assault Marines can use in multiplayer. Now that I've actually gone into it, because I got Kill Team, a while back when I heard about this because I was very excited about Warhammer coming out. So I'm like, yeah, unlock a power sword, cool. Now that I played through Kill Team, fun game. If you if you like Warhammer 40K, even if you like just kind of the Robotron shooting kind of team co-op, get together with a buddy. You have to be in the same building. You can't play it over live. Get Kill Team. It's a really good, fun game, and you level up your characters anyway. But completing a mission in Kill Team allows you to unlock the power sword for Space Marine in multiplayer for your Assault Marines only. What that basically means is, once I got into it and saw what the power sword actually did for you, in stats, it is virtually identical to the chainsword, which is your default weapon as an Assault Marine. So the only thing that the power sword really does for you is tell people, look, I played a mission of Kill Team. That's it. So if you're looking for, completionists out there are going to get Kill Team and play it, or find a buddy who has it. I've got it, if you want to come play. And I keep doing that accent. I'll explain why I'm doing that accent here in a bit. But find a buddy. Bring your gamer tag with you, or download it or whatever, so you're playing on your account. Play through a mission, co-op or otherwise, on someone else's, someone playing Kill Team. And then if you ever get Space Marine, you'll get a free sword. But other than being ooh shiny, there's nothing really special about it, other than status, such as it is. But anyway, Space Marine, yes. I've played the game now, all the way through. I'm now going back through to get the little Chivo stuff. Like there's one I just got. Play through an entire chapter using only the bolt pistol and the chainsword. Only. You can't use grenades. You can't use any other weapon. Just the bolt pistol and the chainsword. Which I just got that. I'm going for another one, and I've got it on pause right now. But it's kind of fun. I mean, it's really fun, especially if you are a real big fan of the Warhammer 40K universe like I am. If you are not, this game isn't really going to mean that much to you, and you're probably, once again, a lot of it's going to be lost on you, because the story behind 40K is deep. I mean, it's actually an offshoot of another game, which was also very deep, called Warhammer, obviously. And Warhammer 40K is Warhammer started out tabletop miniatures. I know I've explained this in the somewhere there before. But Warhammer is sword and sorcery back, think like Warcraft. Sword and sorcery, large army battles. You weren't controlling just one character on a field. You controlled an army. Elves, orcs, humans, demonic forces, things like that. So, dark elves. Well, Warhammer 40K, or Warhammer 40,000, takes that world 40,000 years in the future. So it's still humans, orcs, elves, dark elves, chaos, but instead of just armor and swords, you have laser guns and grenades and bombs and laser cannons, plasma rifles, things like that. So all the technology of a futuristic race, multiple races actually, with that same kind of sword and sorcery feel, because there's spells, abilities, things like that. So, and here in Space Marine, this is the first time. Well, not really the first time, because there's a game called Fire Warrior for the PlayStation 2, which that was a third person. That was a first person shooter. This is a third person shooter melee. There was no melee in Fire Warrior. But this one, you are following, instead of like in Fire Warrior, you're following a Tau soldier. You actually get, for this time, to actually be, for the first time ever, be a Space Marine. And you get, not only that, you get to be a captain, which captains get access to all kinds of cool stuff. such as the big melee weapons like the chainsaw, the power axe, and the thunder hammer, which is frickin' awesome. And also, captains have access to things like bolt pistols, plasma pistols, things like that. So your regular Marines and your sergeants are all running around you. Basically, they have chainswords too, but mostly all they're using is the bolt, is their standard Marine bolter, which is standard issue to pretty much every Marine, which you get to use too. But you get to use the sniper version, which is the stalker. You get to use the vengeance launcher, which is like a sticky mine launcher. And the melt-a-gun, which in this game it gets treated kind of like a shotgun, only it's shooting out fire. So think fire shotgun, which is a lot cooler than it sounds once you fire off the thing and realize, oh boy, I just cleared out a room full of guys with one trigger pull. And the other one is a favorite of mine playing some of the video games, which they're not really making much hype of, but it's in there, the Storm Bolter. Which in the 40K universe, the Storm Bolter is actually a regular bolt pistol and another regular bolt pistol welded together with one handle and one trigger. Pretty cool weapon, actually. It's vehicle mounted. It's so cool on some vehicles as the primary weapon. But it's blam, blam, blam in the regular 40K universe. My only real complaint, which is not really a complaint, because once you actually fire off the thing, you'll understand. In Space Marine, it's treated as a submachine gun. You pull the trigger, hailstorms of bullets come out, kind of like it's like a shotgun that doesn't stop firing. It's like brrr, it sprays everywhere, and it's got a huge clip to it. In fact, it shows two clips that burn simultaneously, obviously from the two barrels, and you have a ton of ammo with the thing, but pulling that trigger, you wouldn't know it because you run out of it very quickly. But man, does it chew through stuff. It is awesome. Okay, well, that's the Stalker Bolter is a sniper rifle, basically. I don't know if I mentioned that because I have brain issues. Okay. Melee. Obviously, we've talked about the chainsword, which is a neat little device. It's your standard melee. Well, you start off with basically a short sword, or what they call the survival knife. The thing is, a knife to a dude that's 8 foot tall is a sword to a regular person, which this thing is big. You start out your first mission actually fighting. You only have a bolt pistol and a survival knife. And you're by yourself, so it's a kind of a pretty hectic intro into the world of Warhammer 40K Space Marine. But the other melee weapons are the chainsword, which is basically, it looks like a sword, has a handle and a blade, but the blade is in fact a chainsaw, a military-grade chainsaw, armor-piercing chainsaw. And yes, it is exactly as cool as it sounds. In fact, some of the prizes for, like, some of the special giveaways for Warhammer 40K, for Space Marine when it was coming out, was you got to, one or two people got to own a life-size replica of a chainsword. And I've seen some pictures of the thing, and it looks damn cool. I wish I had it. I know some of you can see the picture of me on the Facebook fan page of me holding that Lancer. That's about as big as that thing is, because this thing is huge. Okay, other weapons. The Power Sword is not in the single-player campaign. Not really a complaint, just, hey, we got this Power Sword, why not unlock it for everything? Okay. Chainsword. Power Axe. Enough said. A magically imbued, double-bladed battle axe. It's pretty freaking awesome too. It fights pretty much the same way as a chainsword in single player. In multiplayer, there are some stat differences, like a chainsword's faster, the power axe is more powerful, and if you're playing on the chaos side in multiplayer, the power axe becomes a chain axe, which is actually what the orcs use. But I guess the chaos can use what they want. What the chain axe is basically a single-bladed, big-ass, double-handed meat. Well, a single-handed, huge meat cleaver, but instead of an axe blade, there is a big, like, cardor plate full of guts of machinery that is spinning a chainsaw blade as its fighting edge. So that's the chain axe. And the granddaddy of them all, and in single player, if you're using this weapon, you are all of a sudden limited on weapons. Usually you can pick between 4 weapons if you're using regular melee weapons. But if you're using the Thunder Hammer, you can only use the bolt pistol or whatever pistol you have, and your bolter, whatever regular bolter you have. Now the Thunder Hammer is awesome, and throughout the game you actually get a chance to switch weapons quite often once you start to, weapons get introduced as you go through the single player campaign. And after a while, you just come across, oh, there's an axe, you can switch your axe for a sword, or blah, 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 blah. And on some occasions, you get to pick the Thunder Hammer, which is a two-handed weapon. You can fire your weapon, your bolter or your pistol one-handed, which is cool to kind of fire a full-on bolter one-handed. But when you get into it, the Thunder Hammer is essentially a two-handed weapon. Very long. When you're fighting with it, you're grabbing it 2 hands. The head to this thing of the hammer is a big square block of metal that's been carved. The thing is about that big, about like that, square, and it looks very cool. I wish there was a picture of it. There isn't. But it, much more so than the power axe, is crackling with electrical energy at the end of it because it's mystically imbued to do like massive damage. I mean, if you do like your full melee attack because you could do combos with your melee, and your final strike, if you hit your combo, is a huge devastating area effect blast that just kind of blows everything away from you. If you're using the Thunder Hammer, that happens almost every hit, even if you're not using your major combo. Because the Thunder Hammer, most of your combat in this game is melee. And if you've got the Thunder Hammer, you're winning. Most of the time. But the thing is, there are some areas that if you don't watch what you're doing, even if you have the Thunder Hammer, you are going to go down. Because, honestly, as strange as this game is, it does actually incorporate quite a bit of combat realism. I know it sounds strange, but it's true. If you fuck up, you're going to die. Just like Real War. So, but, and I noticed sometimes you have a chance to grab the Thunder Hammer when really you need to choose another weapon so you can have your other weapons, because all of a sudden I'm lugging around my awesome Thunder Hammer, all of a sudden there's a dude on a balcony way over there, and it's really hard to snipe with your bolt pistol. I really wish I had the stalker stalker pattern bolter to take him down long range, which I didn't have. So you need to, and it doesn't really tell you when you're going to be going through a lot of ranged combat areas and when you're going to be going through a lot of melee. So just choose your weapons wisely, sort of. I stuck with the power axe through most of it, but actually on the second playthrough, I found it's easier to chain combos with the chainsaw, the chainsword, because you can. It's very obvious when he's swinging it. That's 1 hit, that's 2 hit, that's 3 hit. Now hit your whatever button to activate your super blast. So it's a lot easier to time your attacks with the chainsword. Not a huge variety of enemies on this thing. There's orcs and chaos. Those are the 2 races that you're fighting against. And first you go through your orcs. You have your little Gretchens, which are basically just they're cannon fodder. They're sent out to basically occupy you while the big boys are getting in position. You can actually do an execution mode immediately on those guys. Usually you have to kind of set a guy up, stun him, and then you can execute him, which is how you get health in this game. Let me talk about this for a little bit. I know I go off on tangents. Welcome to the show! If you haven't figured this out by now, well, then you're kind of stupid. But, and this is what I didn't mention on my first review, is the thing with health in this game is you are probably used to, those of you who watch the show, your regular first-person, third-person shooters, Modern Warfare, Battlefield, whatever, Gears of War, and you're going through and you have some like Halo, you have a shield and then your health. And most of the times, you're fighting, you get your shield through, you try to hide to get your shield back, and then if you get, or in something like Gears of War, you start to basically just get really woozy when you the more and more damage you take, so you look for cover and your health eventually regenerates. That's the standard now with most games, is your health regenerates. After you basically hide for a minute and whatever. Well, in this game, it does not. When your health gets chipped away, once your armor is gone, your armor regenerates if you're out of combat every once in a while, if you give it enough time. But your health does not. Now, how you get health back is executions, which is going up to a guy in melee only. Well, there's a way to. I've done Stalker Bolter hits on a Chaos Marine's face and got him into, because all of a sudden the guy will stumble and the little B icon, the B button icon will appear over his head. That means you can execute that guy. And then you go up and you hit your B button, and then you do this major finishing move, and then once that finishing move completes and the dude's dead, you get a chunk of your health back. And depending on the enemy, you can get a lot of health back. Gretchens give you a little bit. Like I said, you can go up and execute those guys as your main attack. So if you find a mob of Gretchen, just mash the B button, because you bam, execute. You literally punch. All you do with most of your executions in this game are really graphic and awesome and cool, inspiring, because you can hit your view stick and kind of rotate around like the Matrix and see all angles of this guy's face as it explodes. But the Gretchen execution is punch to the face and it's over, and that's it. Of course, with the Gretchen, that's all you really need. They're these little, I'm gonna kill you, kind of tiny little, they look like the house elves from Harry Potter, only a little bit beefier. And punch to the face, dead. Health, yay! So, okay, that is how you get health. So what that basically means in game terms, as far as this game goes, is you need to be aggressive, especially if you're wounded, because that's the only way you're going to get health. Simply running away and shooting your guys from a distance, and just constantly falling back, you're still going to be low health until you can come across a guy, stun him, and execute him. So, and the only thing I can really compare this gameplay style to is Too Human, a favorite game of mine. There's a class called the Bioengineer, which is the only guy that has innate healing abilities. But to make his healing abilities work, he needs to make kills. Most medics, you just wait for your mana to regenerate, and you do a heal, or you heal yourself. So most healers in most games are standoffish. When you heal yourself in Too Human and Space Marine, you have to be super aggressive. I'm dying. I better fight harder. The other way to... there's a thing, if you click both your sticks after you've made enough kills, you get a little meter in the corner. It would be this corner down here if you're looking at the screen. Has the Ultramarines icon, and it slowly fills up as a gauge, and once it's full, you can click both your sticks as buttons and activate Fury mode, which makes all your attacks more powerful. Everything becomes a massive blast of awesome pyrotechnic blast from every hit you make. Blood gore everywhere. Plus your health slowly starts to regenerate, and it will try to max it out until that gauge, once you activate it, the gauge, your ultra gauge starts to decrease until it's gone. But that's the only other way to heal. But once again, to fill that gauge, you have to be aggressive and make kills. So basically, if you're low on health, you've got no choice but to wade in and beat the fuck out of everyone you possibly can to either get someone you can execute or fill up your gauge and hit your fury real fast and heal yourself up. That's it. So it really kind of, it makes the gameplay a little bit more, oh shit, I'm going to die. Better hit something, What you don't see in a lot of these games, if you start taking damage in a lot of these games, the gut reaction is to fall back, to run away, to regroup. Here it is, for the Emperor, and off you charge, just to save your own butt, which is kind of cool. So listen up, game makers. That concept different. So that's why I like that. Now, once again, back to enemies. I was talking about orcs. Most of the game, you're fighting orcs, little Gretchens, regular orc boys. That's what they're called, just the boys, B-O-Y-Z. They have choppers usually, which are basically hatchets, and then huge sluggas, which they look like football players. They've got big red shirts on, kind of a metal football helmet, and a big, looks like sewage pipe they've ripped out of something, and they're beating you with it. Those guys are tough to get to beat into an execution. And then there's shooter boys, of course. The name is self-explanatory because they have guns. There's some rocket boys. In one section, you actually fight storm boys, which are orc choppas with rocket packs. I mean, literally like Spaceman, V2 with fins on it, rocket strapped to their back, flying around as jump troops. And of course, leading the orc horde is a war boss. He's like twice as big as the biggest orc you regularly encounter, and he's got a twin 50 cal on one arm and a jaws of life from hell on the other arm, and that's his weaponry. But the thing is, the orcs, they seem to have, on their voice acting, they don't really say a whole lot. Mostly they say, "War!" which is their war charge, which makes cats run away, by the way. But mostly when they see you, because you are a Space Marine and everyone knows what a Space Marine looks like, their natural reaction to whenever they see you is, "Space Marine!" It seems like that's all they can say before you run up and kill them. And usually a couple of them say the same, so, Space Marine, and it's over and over. Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine. Oh my God, shut up! I know I'm a Space Marine! But get used to hearing that quite a bit. Because they don't, all orcs talk like this. They're all very angry and want to hit things and shoot things. And, oh, Space Marine! That's what they talk like, and that's what you hear. So get used to hearing the word Space Marines spoken like a drunk English footballer. So that is, and the other enemies are the Chaos Marines. My voice just cleared up. Talking like an orc has helped my voice. Anyway. How they come? There's the standard Imperial Guard sort of, just standard like human army trooper, only they're firing light laser rifles. That's their cannon fodder for the Chaos. And then there's the Chaos Marines, which you don't see very many when you first start encountering forces of Chaos. But they are tough because they are also Space Marines, but they are Chaos Marines. So they're about as tough as you are, and it takes a hell of a lot to take them down. And they come in a few varieties. There's the standard bolter Space Marines, and they can chuck grenades at you too. Oh, there's grenades in this game. You can throw grenades. And there's other ones that have heavy plasma weapons. There's plasma weapons, by the way. I forgot about those. Plasma pistol and the plasma rifle. I love the plasma pistols so much. But, what else? And then there are also cultists, which they kind of float in the air and keep the warp gate open. So as long as there's a cultist floating in air with a big glowy thing around him and a warp gate over there, Chaos forces are going to continually pour through that warp gate until you kill the cultists, which sometimes the cultists will shoot, dark bolts of, force lightning at you to kill you. So for many reasons, it's very important to kill a cultist whenever you come across one. Another very common enemy for the Chaos forces is the, I think they're called Hellspawn. and they're exactly what you think they are. They're little horned devils that are on fire and that come and try to kill you with swords. So they're pure melee little goat men that run up, and usually in quite a big group. So not as big a group as some of the orcs can do, because you can get mobbed by orcs. I mean, seriously, like 20, 30 orcs on the field at once, all trying to kill you. Fun. Um, so that's the forces of chaos, and of course you fight a chaos lord, actually a demon prince. Do you actually fight him? Yeah, you do actually fight him, but I'm not going to give that away because that's obviously the final boss. So you get to see a chaos lord become a chaos prince, which is interesting in its own way if you're into that. And the story is pretty interesting. It kind of touches on some subjects that, as far as I understand, as far as the Warhammer 40k universe goes, really don't get touched upon, because the Imperium of Man is, well, all the races are huge war machines that are constantly at war, and but their guns and ammo don't come out of nowhere. They actually have entire planets dedicated to building this stuff, and this is the first time that I know of that a story has occurred on a Forge world. So you get to see, which brings me to the environments. Most of the environments, especially when you start, are really good. It's war. It's a planet that's been raised. You're going through some buildings and rubble, and it looks really good, which you should expect by now from any kind of current generation console. I'm not damning with faint praise. It looks good. I mean, so. But near the end, you get into the machinery and the guts of a Forge world, and you see lots of plain wall, real rusty walls. Obviously, these walls, the Forge worlds have been, churning out stuff for hundreds and hundreds of years, and this stuff is built to last. But there's a lot of featureless walls and ironworks and girders and stuff like that. So some of the scenery gets kind of boring near the end, because you're kind of charging up this structure that's inside a building, and there's lots of ammo boxes around that kind of give it a little bit of color, but for the most part, it's kind of near the end. With comparatively at the beginning of the game, then you have kind of a semi-spectacular, blasted landscape that you're fighting through, which is, that's my only real main complaint about it. That and Spiceberry, just shut the fuck up, Orcs, I hate you. Chainsaw to the face. Solves that problem real fast. And the only multiplayer I've so far played is the co-op, which is a new free download content called Extermination, which is a horde mode. And I love any kind of game that I can play horde mode co-op with. Basically, Exterminatus, or horde mode, is you and 3 other people, and usually that's how it is on most of the games, or sometimes it has 8 in other games. But in this game, the max is 4. And you are pitted against waves of enemies, which is cool. And when we're talking about multiplayer, the game changes. Now you have a choice between 3 classes of fighters, which I've actually sort of touched on in my first review, but this was a few who couldn't be bothered to watch it. The basic structure of your 3 classes are your Tactical Marine, which is your average guy, bolter, bolt pistol, combat knife. He kind of a master of all trades. He can provide fire support. He can melee, stuff like that. And it's the only thing I think. It's the only class you can be a sniper, because you have the access to the stalker bolter, so you can build up a class for that. The other class is called a devastator, or on the chaos side, it's called a havoc. These are the heavy weapons guys. If you guys, big, huge, 2-handed weapons of death that continually spit madness and lead, that's a havoc, or a devastator. And so they have a couple of choices with weapons. A bolter, a heavy bolter, which is basically a rapid-fire heavy machine gun. A laser cannon, which is a hugely high-powered laser sniper rifle. And I think think you can get a plasma gun as well, the heavy plasma gun, which is huge. I'm not sure if the missile launchers in this one, but Devastators are known to use big giant bazooka-like missile launchers as well. I can't remember. I'm looking in whether or not they have them. Let me see if we can mention it in here. They probably won't, because this is all about the single player. Experience point, blah, 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 blah. No! Anyway, so, and the third class is the Assault Marines, or for the Chaos side, it's called Raptors. These are your jump troops, hugely mobile, jump, rocket pack guys. They fly around, and then you can hit a button, and boom, and you do area effect damage to wherever you land, so you can knock people away. But they are limited to the big melee weapons and some sort of pistol. That's it. All they get is either a bolt pistol or later on when you can unlock the plasma pistol. So this is where your power sword comes in, if you've unlocked it through playing Kill Team. The chain sword is a standard. The power axe does a little more damage, but it's a little slower. And you can eventually, or the chain axe if you're Chaos. And the Thunder Hammer, which you can use it in multiplayer, which is pretty cool. The Thunder Hammer, or on the Chaos side, it's called the Demon Maul, which looks like a gigantic ribbed ball of metal and death. Blam! It's kind of awesome looking too. So obviously these three classes play in different ways. Usually when I'm playing as a tactical marine, I usually find my nearest Devastator, if there is one, and guard his back, because they're not very mobile at all. They can't turn very well, so if they start getting guys coming in close, they can't really defend themselves as well. So I stay around as a tactical marine and kind of help them out. And try to also spot where the jump troops are going and kind of keep stuff off their back, because they can quickly be overwhelmed because they're jumping away from you, usually, to go fight. So everybody has their own role, and if working as a team, you can do pretty well. So, and that's multiplayer. And that's Space Marine. If it sounds like a lot of fun to you, it is. I've had lots of fun playing it, other than the few complaints that I had. So there is a more thorough and more complete review of Space Marine now that I've actually sampled the full product. So I'd say, once again, goodbye. Go out and try this game. Especially if you're into the Warhammer 40k universe, even a little bit, you are going to love this game. So give it a shot. I think you'll like it. And be sure to, when you go to your local retailer, ask for it by name. I would like a copy of Space Marine! Get a little spit going too, because that's what they do too. So there you go. Have fun out there, guys. I'll have some more episodes up soon. I know it's been a while since I've done them. It's been crazy. So enjoy, have fun. Enjoy, have fun.